Welcome to the Cinema Gold Podcast with your host, Larry Leese. Come join us as Cinema Gold dives into the latest Hollywood films and news.
Welcome to the Cinema Gold Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Leese. Today we're diving in to the latest news and movie reviews with our classic rewind for Beverly Hills Cop II. Sometimes sequels never live up to the original. As much as Beverly Hills Cop II echoes the sentiment, the late great director Tony Scott delivers a film that encapsulates the pinnacle of 80s films in terms of culture, style, fashion, and action. It's a film that doesn't get enough credit. Running at a swift 1 hour and 42 minutes, Beverly Hills Cop II utilizes the same energetic pacing and slick visuals from Tony Scott's previous film, Top Gun. The gritty undertones are dialed down for a glossy, sun-kissed palette, and when you add Harold Faltermeyer's addictive soundtrack to the mix, it completes the highly stylized package. There's no denying the talent of Eddie Murphy, with his uncanny ability to blur between the lines of script and improv. His sharp, wisecracking wit and infectious laugh as Axel Foley is always a scream. Beverly Hills Cop 2 provides that perfect vehicle to showcase it once again. The transformation of Foley's reintroduction is an interesting contrast between the first and second film. The first film highlights the downside of the economy and poverty in Detroit, in comparison to the sequel where Foley wears a fancy suit and drives a sports car as a representative sign of recovery from the city. The aesthetic circumstances of Foley's life may have changed, but Murphy still guarantees that Foley's character remains the same. But the increased laughter doesn't take away from the seriousness the film proposes. Once again, it treads on a personal matter when Foley's friend, Andrew Bogomil, is seriously wounded. It immediately prompts him back into familiar territory by investigating the alphabet crimes, a series of precise time-based robberies in which a symbolized letter is left in the aftermath of the crime scene. Foley's street smarts and powers of persuasion are tested again, but in a different context. Beverly Hills Cop 2 taps into the conflicting changes of the police force. Foley, reuniting with Rosewood and Taggart, battle a politicized police department in the form of Chief Lutz, a duplicitous character interested only in his own reputation and public image, but verbally abusive towards his police officers. Through the level of incompetence and the narrow-minded avenues, Foley and his buddy cop friends go undercover to actively connect the dots between Bogomil's shooting and the organized heists. Scott's ability to build suspense and tension is key to the enjoyment of the film. The opening scenes set the tone where it masks intentions and presents a rearranged assumption. Bridget Nielsen's Carla Fry showcases the duality in appearance of a high-powered and successful woman and the aggressive intimidation of being the enforcer and timekeeper of the operation for her boss, Maxwell Dent. It's a subtle effect which creates a disruptive chaos to the crimes, leaving the victims in a state of blurred shock. Yet Beverly Hills Cop can't escape its lack of originality, which is a shame. Like a lot of sequels, they rely on familiarity by copying which was done before, but with a larger canvas, scope, and more destruction. When the original sets such a high standard, replicating its success was always going to be a tough challenge. What is evidently clear is that they don't make films like this anymore. Beverly Hills Cop 2 never forgets the entertaining and exaggerated level of fun that it brings. Because of its tone, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and the one person who keeps the whole thing together is Eddie Murphy with an all-around performance. With his jokes, you can't help but laugh along with them. Well, that's our episode for today. Are you a fan of Beverly Hills Cop 2? Let us know in the comments section. Share your thoughts with us on Twitter at CinemaGold2. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching Cinema Gold Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at CinemaGold2. Become a patron on our Patreon at patreon.com/cinemagold. Send us a voice message and be featured on an upcoming episode through anchor.fm/cinemagold.